There is a big game in South Bend under the shadow of Touchdown Jesus this weekend. Some are calling it an actual playoff game. We got the top guy from Notre Dame himself, from Always Irish, John Kennedy, with us to tell you all about it next here on the College Huddle. And joining us this afternoon, Mr. Kennedy himself from Always Irish, my good friend, my mentor, my buddy, and the reason why I don't hate Notre Dame, except for one game out of the year if we do play them. Welcome to the College Huddle, John Kennedy. How are you?
It's good to be here. Big moment in South Bend this weekend. You caught me at a rough time. 2 minutes before we go live, we find out Notre Dame's best run defender is out against USC, defensive lineman Gabe Rubio. So I just found that out 2 minutes before. So I'm a little on edge about that. But this is it's Notre Dame's last real moment in prime time this year in the regular season to make a statement. The back half of the schedule doesn't really offer those moments with the teams we're playing and how they're playing. So this is it in a lot of ways. It's a big one.
Yeah. So I started the program off by saying that this was kind of a playoff game. This is nothing new to Marcus Freeman and the veterans of this team. From the moment that they lost last season at home to Northern Illinois, from that moment on, they were in playoff mode.
Yeah.
And I think it actually suited them very well because when they did get to the actual CFP, it was nothing new for them. They had been, since week 3, that's how they had been playing and with that kind of pressure. This feels very similar to the last half of last season. Like, you have to win this game. You look at how Notre Dame started. They had 2 losses back-to-back to start the season by 4 total points to 2 teams who were both undefeated in the top 10 in the AAP poll and coaches poll. So they're not bad losses. One might argue if there's such thing as a good loss, that would be those. But we didn't also see anybody who didn't win their conference last year get in with 3 losses. And so I've been saying for a while, there are certain teams that if you get to 10, you're in. Notre Dame is one of those teams. I feel like if you get 10 wins, you're in, which means you have to beat USC this weekend. Is that the vibe you're getting from the fan base and from maybe some of the coaches? Not necessarily they're coming out and saying it, but kind of the vibe you're getting from them about this?
Yeah. I mean, you don't expect the coach to get up there and say, if you lose it, the season's over. But for the media and the fans, if you lose, your season's over. You have 3 losses. It doesn't matter what you do in the back half of the schedule. You're out of the playoff. There is no we're stretching it maybe with 3 good losses. No. Everybody understands if Notre Dame reaches 3 losses, you're out of the playoff. So this is an elimination game for Notre Dame. USC probably feels that way too, just with their 1 loss to Illinois. They probably feel like they got to win it. But for Notre Dame, it's if you lose, you're done, and everybody knows and accepts that, and those are the stakes of what this weekend are. You referenced those 2 early losses. Some of what you saw there in those 2 losses to Miami and A&M, kind of understandable, but still unacceptable is kind of how I look at it. You add a new defensive coordinator. You lost almost all of your key pieces from that defense last year to the NFL. New DC, and then a redshirt freshman starting quarterback making his first starts. Welcome to Miami for your first game. That's tough. And then A&M with all their athletes, that's tough too. So it's super frustrating that it all lined up when Notre Dame has all those moving new parts and your margin there to be able to not play great and win was minimal. And Notre Dame's defense was god-awful in both those games and is the reason you have 2 losses. Since then, the defense has played much, much better. But it was a really frustrating start, Eric. You put yourself behind the 8 ball right away. You could end that little bump 1-1, no problem. It couldn't be 0-2, and it was 0-2. So you're backed into a corner. You got to win out. If you're going to lose two, it may as well be to two top 10 undefeated programs in the first 2 games of the year. Like, if you had to lose two, that's the way to do it. Lose to two good teams early and then fight your way back. See if you can back your way into that playoff field. Notre Dame's in a tricky spot, and they did it to themselves. All the moving parts aside, go win the games. Notre Dame didn't make the plays. You got 2 losses. Super frustrating, Eric. You mentioned, I got to get this out. Bugs me, Eric. You mentioned, nothing new to Notre Dame having to fight back after the Northern Illinois loss and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with it. They've done a good job bouncing back. But the next step for this program needs to be not having to do that.
Right.
Do you getting into November with a game in your playoff pocket to play with? If something bad happens, maybe you lose that high home seed, but you're still in the field. Like, I applaud the bounce back, but the next step to consistency here is not needing to do that. So it's a bit frustrating, but that's where we're at.
You alluded to it at the beginning. New defensive coordinator, Coach Ash, and that was when I was watching Notre Dame early in the season, and admittedly I haven't seen them. I've seen bits and pieces, but I haven't sat down and watched the whole game like I did the first two. It seemed like offensively Notre Dame they were clicking. The problem was defensively there was nothing there. How has the defense improved since those first 2 games?
Yeah, it's really weird, Eric. It was like, okay, Al Golden's gone to the NFL, like the architect of those top 10 defenses, the number 1 pass defense the last couple years. Like, okay, he's gone. You bring in Ash. And his big thing was, I know I got a good thing. My job's not to mess it up, right? He didn't inherit like some garbage unit where the bar is low and you get credit for getting it a little bit better. He started out saying, my job's not to ruin a good thing. They get out there and look completely clueless the first 2 games. The air traffic control, Eric, you got that guy. You got that guy. No, they're doing all this. Everybody was confused. Nobody knows who's doing what. Notre Dame used to be this physical press man coverage pass defense unit. Now they were playing these soft zones and nobody knows what they're guarding and looking at. And it was a total nightmare. And what really offended me, Eric, is you only gave up, 27 to Miami, but it felt horrible because of what it was you gave up. Interceptions that could be made that weren't made, just bad breakdowns in the defense we're not used to. Then you had a week off, Eric, a built-in week off, a buffer between Miami and A&M. Somehow they got worse. You had a half a month to prepare for A&M, and you give up 900 points and yards against them with a week off to be able to look at what you did bad against Miami. That's rough. That is a rough thing to accept when you're used to top 10 defense, top 5 defense, pencil it in every year. It was really rough. Then they settled in a little bit. Okay, I think a couple things happened. Number one is the guys got used to the tweaks in the Ash defense from the Golden defense, and for some reason they had to have live game action to be able to figure it out. They started settling in, looked a little better against Purdue, and then they've been really good since. 13 points, 7 points, and 7 points allowed in the last 3 games against decent offenses and quarterbacks, by the way. Arkansas, NC State, Boise State, decent talent there. They've really tightened it up. And I think one thing they had to learn is, and I don't understand why this couldn't be done in August, Eric, they had to learn what personnel could play where and in what situations. And they got it wrong the first 2 weeks. They were putting guys out there and asking them to do stuff they could not do either physically, mentally, or both. And they've gotten that down as far as who can play in what spot and when and where on the field and what situation. So slowly but surely, it's tightened up. So now you're in a position where it's like, is the Notre Dame defense back? Talk to me on the post-game show after USC. That is,
Right.
you were horrible.
Right.
Now you're getting better and you're giving up 7 points 2 weeks in a row. You feel good. It's like, are they back? I don't have to answer that now. Talk to me on the post-game show after USC, and then I'll have a good answer for you. So really, really frustrating start defensively. Offensively, CJ Carr is going to be a star. It's the quarterback we've been waiting for. It's the kind of thing we begged for, Eric. Why do we have a good running game? We never have a guy that could throw it and really stress the defense and make them play us fair and be worried about that. CJ Carr is that guy, and he's in what, his 6th or 7th game, and he's already showing to be that guy. I was fortunate enough to have Brady Quinn on my show, the Fox analyst and Notre Dame star, on my show earlier in the week. And the question was asked, what is the ceiling for Carr? And he says, #1 draft pick in 2 years and the best quarterback in Notre Dame history. And that's coming for Brady Quinn, Fox's lead analyst, knows everything about being quarterback at Notre Dame. High praise from Brady. So now it's a matter of, you got USC at home with all this on the line. How's it going to shake out? So I don't know, but my anxiety level's pretty high.
Interesting. And which is, for mutual, I guess, kicks and giggles, kind of funny that Michigan's old head coach's grandson is doing this in South Bend, and they spent millions of dollars for what in Ann Arbor exactly? Yeah, just a nice little right there for all of you Maize and Blue fans.
Quick, on Michigan.
Sure.
If you're a Notre Dame person, that Michigan USC battle in LA last week was really something you wanted to see. Okay, physical, traditional, Big Ten, Michigan power. Going to LA, let's see how this plays out and what it could portend for Notre Dame USC. And I think what I realize is, I think Michigan's rebuilding and they're a lot more down than people thought or wanted to realize. That's what I think I learned. USC's pretty darn good, and they've improved defensively, which is a big deal under the second year of their defense coordinator. But I just think Michigan's a little more down than anybody wanted to realize for a lot of different reasons with the instability they've had lately in around the program. So I think USC's a little better, but I think Michigan's down a notch. In what world do you see Michigan give up 224 rushing yards to a third-string walk-on guy that looks like an all-star? Something's wrong. So I think they're a little more down than people want to admit.
Yep. Now we just got done talking about Notre Dame's defense, and so this USC offense comes rolling into South Bend. You just mentioned it. Looked really good against Michigan's defense. Defensively, USC's improved since last year as well. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up everybody's rear end and say the Trojans are going to win a national championship with that defense, but they are better. And this leads me to what I was going to start the program off, but here we are, almost 14 minutes in, we're going to get to the first question. What are 3 reasons, or more, whatever number you want, reasons why Notre Dame is going to win this football game against USC?
Yeah, I think if Notre Dame's going to get this done, the #1 item on my list is that defense looks like it's looked the last few weeks. Okay, that is #1. I believe Notre Dame's going to be able to move the ball, okay, on the ground with the 2 great backs you have and with CJ Carr. This is all eyes are on that Notre Dame defense. Is it going to look more like it looked in weeks 1 and 2 against real talent? Or is it going to look like the last few weeks where you're giving up 7 points, 13 points, and getting a boatload of turnovers? So that's the question here. And what makes me nervous about it is Notre Dame got burned by these slot guys. Malachi Toney, the freshman at Miami, shredded Notre Dame all night. Mario Craver, A&M, shredded Notre Dame all night. Mekhi Lemon, maybe the best one of the bunch at USC. Let's see if Notre Dame learned their lesson. Okay, so the defense is the #1 thing here. Is it going to be the first 2 weeks, the last few weeks, or somewhere in between? So Notre Dame's going to have to play good defense to even have a good shot to win here. So the defense would be back for Notre Dame to win. The offense, a balanced attack. And Notre Dame is not used to that. You can run the ball, you can throw the ball. Okay. The days of defense being able to stack the box against Notre Dame's run, take Love and Price out of it, and be able to take your chances on 3rd and 8, guarding the tight end, are over. If you stack the box, Carr will light you up deep. And if you scoop back, Notre Dame's going to try and run the ball with Price and Love. So it would be an effective, balanced attack on offense. And then here's the third thing, Eric. USC plays better in LA than they do on the road. Okay, it's historically true. It's the case. Expecting some iffy fall weather Saturday night in South Bend. Okay, maybe some rain. A little windy with that gray kind of cloud cover there in a South Bend evening as the sun goes down. Could be a little chilly and wet with a little wind and whatever. I like that. Aside from just the home crowd and everything. So you may get a little fall weather there. I like that vibe. I am not foolish enough to think USC is going to sleepwalk into Notre Dame Stadium the way they did playing Illinois a couple weeks ago. It was the trappiest trap of all time, playing in Champaign, Illinois, in the middle of a cornfield in high school bleacher stadium at 11 a.m. our time, which is 9 a.m. LA time. It was the trappiest trap that ever trapped, and USC walked right into it. They're going to come in ready to play Notre Dame. But if you have these three things going for you, you like your chances late in the game.
Okay, there you have it, guys. All right, let's switch over to Marcus Freeman here for a minute. So here in the College Huddle, and you have on your channel as well, John. I've seen you talk about the fan base over there at Penn State. And you guys know one another intimately from last season's college football playoff. I'll put it nicely like that. I have taken the stance of looking at the Penn State fan base as like a case study. I literally in real time watched them go from we are winning a national championship to 3 weeks later, 95% of the fan base turning on James Franklin and wanting him fired and getting their wish. It was the quickest downfall of a coach I have seen in my 44 years of existence. It felt like overnight he went from this is it to, oh gosh, he's terrible, get him out of here. And I'm getting word from my Penn State people that I talk to that the athletic director has basically almost been given a blank check. That he has been told, it doesn't matter how much it costs, you go get whoever it is that's going to take us to the next level and win a national championship. So you've heard crazy things from Nick Saban and Urban Meyer. Obviously, Matt Rule's the hometown son, who I think they can get him to go there from Nebraska. I think that that's possible. But the one name that kind of caught me off guard is Marcus Freeman. I want to get your impression of that, and then I want you to kind of maybe lay out for me, because I don't know. Notre Dame's a private institution. It's not. I've Googled it. I've tried to find it, what the buyout is. What is his current salary comparable? I'm hearing that Penn State is willing to make him an offer that would make him one of, if not the highest paid coach in college football, which would be upwards of $12.5 million to $13 million a year. Because that's, if I understand it right, I believe Kirby Smart's at 12.5, somewhere between 12.5 and 13 with incentives. And if Freeman's buyout is, let's just say it's a 50 million, just throwing a big, huge number out there. Penn State, when this is all said and done, could spend upwards of all the buyouts and everything, over $200,000 to $250,000 for this thing. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around that. What are you hearing? on your side when it comes to Marcus Freeman and this possibility. And I guess hats off to Marcus to being mentioned for something like this, because that means what you're doing is obviously is catching everybody's attention.
Yeah, and the other thing to add there is $700 million stadium renovation. Penn State
Right.
just committed to on
Yeah.
top of everything else. So, like, whatever, man. I don't know. I don't think there's oil wells there the way there is at Texas A&M. So I don't know where they're coming up with it, but whatever. God bless you. So I want to start here. I want to go back to the first sentence you talked about.
Okay.
The big problem with all of this is all of us being gaslit by the media all summer trying to sell you Penn State was the number one team in the world. It
Listen,
never made any sense.
listen. James Franklin was always going to James Franklin himself, though. That's what we try to tell everybody.
I couldn't understand why all summer, the way too early top 25 in June that comes out, and there's nothing else going on. So all of us cover it because it's something to talk
Right.
about on your show in the middle of the summer. I was on my show saying, I have no idea. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't believe it. I got my Always Irish bingo card all summer. Mentions James Franklin, big game record is right here on the corner. You had to explain to me why, over the course of a few months, a coach that was 4-20 against the top 10 magically was going to start winning all those games, and a group of returning players that lost all those games were magically just going to win them all of a sudden. I never believed it. I never understood it in theory. And that was my angle, and it's been proven correct. Oregon broke these guys, Eric. From the second Notre Dame beat them in the playoff, they had Oregon circled. You had all summer, 3 high school teams to warm up against, a bye week, and then you get Oregon at home in a whiteout. There could not have been a better scenario for Penn State. They totally went all in on Oregon, lost that game the same way they've lost a lot of big games, including the one to us in the playoff. No one was able to recover. Franklin couldn't recover. The players couldn't recover. The fans couldn't recover. That is what led to this spiral that has gone out of control. So it's ironic to me. All I heard after Notre Dame beat them in the playoff is James Franklin's a better coach than Freeman. James Franklin's a better coach than Freeman. They get rid of James Franklin. Now they want Marcus Freeman. So those people are out of their minds. This has been immensely entertaining to watch because it's primarily not my problem. Eric, I would be shocked if Marcus Freeman left for any college job other than Ohio State. I would be absolutely shocked. You got to sell me why Penn State's a better program to coach at than Notre Dame. Take the money out of it. Call timeout on the money. I do not see how Penn State is an upgrade in resources and whatever you have going than Notre Dame. I don't really think it is. Like, I don't understand. Same thing with Florida and Virginia Tech, maybe Florida State, Arkansas. None of those programs are in a better position than Notre Dame right now with finances, resources, NIL, the stuff you have going. None of them are upgrades, including Penn State. So you could throw all the money you want at the guy. I don't think he's all about that. Just got a recent extension from Notre Dame with a big bump there. I just don't see it until that Ohio State job opens. That's the only college one that's on my radar. NFL, that's not my world. I don't know how that works. Marcus wants a different challenge, whatever, maybe. But for college, Ohio State's the only one. I just think there's only a couple programs that are clear upgrades. Penn State's not on that list. Offer them all the money you want. I don't see it. And nobody I'm talking to, none of my sourcing behind the scenes, nobody's even batting an eye at this. It's just all over Twitter and YouTube, and it's big news. No one in our circles batting an eye or going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I'm not seeing any of it from any of our media or fans, and none of my sources. Ohio State's the only one I'm worried about. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. but just writing a big check is not going to get Marcus out of there. It's bigger than that.
At some point, what's the difference between 12 and 13 million or 11? You know what I mean? It's like, I guess, mo money, mo problems. I don't know. It's like, I don't,
Yeah, but if you're, I just don't. Marcus spent all this time building up this Notre Dame program, has roots there. He's got like a half dozen kids that are living their life there now, like all this stuff. Oh, more money isn't going to make him uproot and start all of that project over.
Didn't he
It's not an upgrade. It's
didn't
not
he
an upgrade.
didn't he convert to Catholicism too?
Yeah, he
I mean,
did.
that tells you I'm all in, man. Like,
Yeah, it's so I genuinely, I'm not just saying this because you're an Ohio State guy or whatever, but like the Ohio State job is the only one that is like reasonable to me where I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. You could argue it's a football resource upgrade and he has all the familiarity there. That's home in a lot of ways. That's the only one. All these other jobs he's being mentioned for downgrades. Like I see that the tweet the Florida people put out with him wearing the Florida shirt on the
yeah.
side. Like, bro, why is he going to go there and make it harder on himself? Like that's not an upgrade. That program is not an upgrade right now over where he's gotten Notre Dame. You got to realize, Eric, Freeman has worked hard to modernize this program, get the booster money, the NIL support, maybe loosen up the academics just a bit to get another kid in on the margin, get the AD to be working with him to do what they need. That's hard work. A few extra million a year is not going to make him uproot and go to Penn State. I do not see it. God bless him for being in a discussion. I don't see it. If you made me put money on it, they go with Matt Rule because he's best friends with the AD, and I think you could flip him from where he's at to Penn State. If I had to put money on it, that's what I would bet.
What does John Kennedy think of Lincoln Riley?
Really good offensive mind, really good, elite offensive mind, schemer, like play designer, like his offensive mind is elite. The way he works with quarterbacks is elite, but I am not sure it's all put together, all areas of the program that you need to have a handle on at the same time. I'm not sure he's gotten that part figured out. But on the offensive side, elite mind. I'm just not sure it's all come together yet.
Interesting. Okay.
And here's one more, Eric.
Sure.
One more thing. The other part of this weekend is Notre Dame's recruiting director, GM guy, left Notre Dame to go to USC with Lincoln Riley. That's like another little personal piece to this. That guy was with Marcus Freeman leading the recruiting effort and all that, jumps to USC right at the beginning of the new year, right after the playoff. And it was all about USC's different, USC special. My heart's at USC. So there's a little bit of that familiarity. We want to get it, Chad. Chad wants to stick it to us. Does he have any inside scoop on how Freeman runs things that helps their side? I don't know. But that's another part of it too. Now, one of our guys is one of his guys.
That's interesting. I remember you guys talking a little bit about that in the offseason on your show. I didn't realize that it was the recruiting, I guess you could say, head of recruiting for Notre Dame. And I'm assuming doing the same thing over there. GM, I guess we call them general managers now or some weird title like that.
GM now. And so that's a part of this too, because he left and he made it personal. He was saying certain things he knew were going to hit Notre Dame people. He went out of his way to let it be known, like, this is where I want to be. This is the special program. Like, and so there's that little personal piece too.
Sounds like something rubbed him the wrong way, big time.
Yeah, there was rumblings maybe towards the end. Him and Freeman were not exactly on the same page with talent acquisition or how things were going with that. It seemed like it wasn't exactly the best marriage. He flirted with Michigan the year before as well. So I don't know if he was itching to get out of South Bend or what. But there was a little something there.
Well, it seems like it may have worked out best for both parties, in all honesty. USC's doing well recruiting, and Notre Dame has had a heck of a cycle in recruiting this year as well.
Yeah,
So,
and what I like is it gave Freeman an opportunity to look at roster development differently. Went and got an NFL guy to be the GM and think of it more analytically. Guy coming from the Lions, think of it more analytically with the NIL, having those discussions. More of a professional way to build out a roster, which is where I think this sport is heading. And this kind of gave Marcus a chance to get in on that early. And so far, so good with the recruiting effort. So feel pretty good about that. Hoping we could maybe jump on some Penn State kids. We've had a lot of overlap fighting for these guys with Penn State. And maybe there's an angle there now for Notre Dame to get some of those guys with their instability.
yeah, it's definitely open season for Penn State recruits right now. That has become evident if you follow recruiting. All right, let's go full circle. I got one final question before we dive into this weekend's big games. We started off by talking about the 2 losses, and I have seen some rumblings of this in the Notre Dame community, and a lot of people push back immediately, obviously so. And that is, if Notre Dame was, say, in a conference, let's just use the Big Ten for instance, and those 2 losses were out of conference, they almost wouldn't matter if you go ahead and win the conference. Looking at this hindsight 2020, has there been any talk about that, of saying, no, none at all, just the people who want to try to push the narrative that Notre Dame needs to be in a conference? I got you. Okay.
I really have not run into that at all. In fact, Eric, I could argue the opposite. And here's what I mean by that. A few years ago, you have a 4-team playoff. You felt like the season was over. If you're an independent, you lose 1 game. You're in a bad spot when you're an independent in a 4-teamer and you lose 1 game. You feel like you're begging to be left out, number 5, whatever, with 1 loss. This expansion to 12, Notre Dame fans can't believe the concept that you could lose 1 game and feel pretty comfortable you're still in the playoff. So, like, to us, this has all felt like more breathing room, not like, you know what I mean? So I already look at this as an advantage because Notre Dame doesn't have to be perfect to get in anymore. And it felt that way for a long, long time. So it's more of a matter of you got to win the games. And you got to realize when you're an independent, some of those big Power 4 teams are only going to schedule you when it works for them early in the year before they get into conference play and it really gets heavy. That's how you end up. Miami game 1, A&M game 2. That's a pretty tough 1-2 start. And Miami finagled that thing. We were supposed to play them last year. Oh, yeah, we're booked that weekend. We can't do it. We don't know. Next thing you know, in the summer, I thought A&M was our first game. All of a sudden, Miami ended up before them. So that old scheduling thing Miami played with and one day I log in and there's a game ahead of A&M. It was a little bizarre. So you just got to win your games, man. And Notre Dame has more leeway now than they've ever had in my life. We're not complaining about that. You got to win the games or pay the price.
All right, guys, here we go. It's for all of you who take advice from me and lose your money every week. Here we go. This is so here's how.
Vandy. I'm taking Vandy. I'm Clark Lee, the old Notre Dame guy, over Brian Kelly. I'm taking Vandy. It's a noon start. I want Kelly to take that loss. I'm all on Clark Lee and Vandy. Let's go, Pavia.
Well, we know John's taking the over there for Vandy at 1.5 at home over LSU. Oh my goodness, I'm with you, John. I'm going to agree with you on this one. LSU, I think, is fool's gold. You agree?
Just that offense was supposed to be a lot better than it's been, and I think they were surprised by that. And the rumors if the quarterback's healthy or not, like something's not clicking there with the offense. And I got news for you, man. The back half of their schedule gets tough. I mean, you still got Alabama on there. I think you got Oklahoma on there. Like, it's going to get rough. And I always like to see Kelly lose. And Clark Lee is one of the few good guys in the sport. Was a Notre Dame DC, really, really good guy. He's going to probably get some bigger offers. I want to see it. It's at home. I like their quarterback. I'm taking Vandy.
I'm with you. I'm with you. That's a 12 p.m. kick on ABC. Staying on ABC, the very next kickoff at 3:30. Number 5, Ole Miss, 6-0 on the year, travels to Athens, Georgia, to take on the Dogs, 5-1 on the season. Looks like Georgia is getting 6.5 points at home, man. Preseason, my preseason pick for the SEC, based off of our simulation, was going to be Alabama and Ole Miss, which means I need kind of need Ole Miss to win this football game here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, give me the points. I'll take the under. I don't know that Ole Miss is going to win, but I don't think Georgia covers.
Yeah, I struggle with Ole Miss, man. Sometimes they look real good and they're rolling, and Lane Kiffin's the offense and everything, like whatever. But I never really know if I could trust them. It feels like a battle. Georgia ends up grinding out. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if they cover. It is at Georgia. That helps. And I want to say this too, Eric. I very rarely change my opinion on people. Like, I get a vibe from people when I meet them, and very rarely does that change. Like, my instincts about it are usually pretty spot on. Lane Kiffin is one of the few people in my football life that I have genuinely switched on. I used to hate him, think he was a Nepo baby who got jobs because of his dad, didn't deserve it, had a bad attitude, like at USC and everywhere at Tennessee, leaving USC, didn't like the guy. He is a breath of fresh air, just trolling everybody on Twitter any chance he gets. Kind of this, like, I don't take myself too seriously vibe. It's all kind of working. I have changed on Lane Kiffin. I think his personality's good for the sport now. So that's I can't believe I'm saying it. He's one of my favorite guys in the game now.
Interesting. All right, so far Kennedy and I are agreeing. I don't know if that's good or bad. Number 11, Tennessee, 5-1 on the season. They travel to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama, 6-0. They've won 5 in a row after losing to open the season on the road against Florida State. Bama getting 8.5 points as of when I made this graphic a day or so ago at home. I'll let you go first on this one, John.
I think I'm going to ride Alabama here. I am not totally sold on both of these teams, but I do think Alabama is getting a little more put together. Tennessee, I just never know if I could trust, and it's at Alabama. I could see Alabama winning by like 10 points. Tough game, and they pull away late. I just don't have that trust level in Tennessee. So that's my decision making.
Tennessee's lone loss was a tough one at home to Georgia. And as I've been looking at this game, I've been thinking to myself, is the Tennessee I saw against Georgia, is that who we're going to see against Bama? And if we do, is Bama 8.5 points better than Tennessee? I think I'm going to take the points here. Again, I think Bama wins, but I don't think that they're going to cover. So I'll go with the Vols on this one with the points there. Okay, now to your game, USC Notre Dame. 20 USC comes in at number 20 after beating Michigan, 5-1 on the year. The one loss is an overtime loss, I think double overtime loss if I'm not mistaken, to Illinois. Notre Dame's fought back to 13th in the country, 4-2. I just looked this up before we hit record. That spread's now 9.5 for Notre Dame, which, wow. I think Notre Dame's the better football team. Don't get me wrong here. And this is not a slight at all on Notre Dame or your fans or anything. For goodness sake, I put Touchdown Jesus as my background for this video. But that's a lot. 9.5 is a lot of points. I'm going to go ahead and say the Trojans. I don't know that Notre Dame's going to cover here. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I do think Notre Dame wins in a close one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Notre Dame, but not covering rivalry game. I think both sides are gonna move the ball. who can avoid big mistakes, who can avoid, who can make and avoid some big plays. I got Notre Dame winning, but I don't have them covering. I haven't decided my final exact point pick, but somewhere Notre Dame by a touchdown. And it's if Notre Dame's defense looks like it did the first 2 weeks, it could get ugly. But if they play the way they've been or anything close to it, I think Notre Dame's offense does enough at home. But I wouldn't have them covering 9.5, 10, even at Circa Sports earlier in the week. I don't have them covering that. If they do, I'm going to have a good night. So I got Notre Dame winning, but not covering.
Okay, we agree. All right, for the Holy War, this one is fun. If you've never gotten into this one, this is a fun little rivalry here in the state of Utah. Outside of the Mormon church, I'm really not sure what else there is to do in Utah. Maybe go hiking, maybe. But this football game will have the entire state shut down. The Utes travel to Promo, which I think might be the most beautiful place ever to watch a football game. If you've ever sit, I think it's in the home stands and you look out over across and you see the mountains going up beyond the stand. It's just an absolute gorgeous scene. The Utes 5-1, that one loss coming to Texas Tech at home earlier in the year. They're going to get 3.5 points on the road, traveling to Promo to take on the undefeated 15th ranked BYU Cougars. John, I have no idea I think this is going to be this feels like a Pac-12 after dark game, like whatever, who knows what's going to happen here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't know how big of a believer I am in BYU fully, like undefeated, whatever. I'm not sure how big of a believer I am there. And on the Utah side, I respect their head coach a lot. I think he gets maybe the most out of what he has compared to anybody around the country when you think about Utah and what he's been able to do. And a part of this, like you said, it isn't every day I'm breaking down Utah and BYU. A part of it is if you're Notre Dame and you're open to back into that playoff, BYU could be in your way undefeated. So we want BYU to take a loss. I'm taking Utah.
Okay. I'll go the opposite way for fun so that we have some betting interest here between Kennedy. I'll take BYU. I think they win this thing outright. It's at home. Outside of Notre Dame and Ohio State, which a lot of people still just don't understand how in the world Ohio State has this really faith-based culture that they do, but they do. Thanks. Shout out Jim Tressel. BYU probably has one of the largest faith-based cultures in college football that there is. It's just different there.
Yeah.
And I've tried to explain that to people, and the more BYU people I talk to and interact with, there's this. It's just ingrained within the football program, very similar to Catholicism ingrained into the Notre Dame culture and community. And I think sometimes it can be a detriment, but sometimes it can absolutely aid you in what you're trying to do, keep you focused, keep you grounded. And so just very interesting, not that I'm trying to draw comparisons because I know the faith that BYU supports and the faith that Notre Dame supports are very different on the Judeo-Christian spectrum. But looking at it from that perspective, I think sometimes it does help out your program. And so I don't know. I just feel like the way they lost their quarterback going into the season, starting a freshman, just seems like BYU's got kind of something going on down there that's a little bit different. So maybe not on our radar yet, but a win against Utah definitely should put them on a lot of people's radar, in my opinion.
Yeah, I admit a part of this is, if Notre Dame thinks they're going to win and back into that playoff, I need BYU to lose. So, I'm going with some of that. So, yeah, and again, interesting week for me, Eric, because you're looking at all this ranked on ranked, right? And when you have ranked on ranked, there's automatically going to be movement no matter who wins or loses. But if you're a Notre Dame guy, I almost can't look at any of that. None of it matters unless Notre Dame beats USC. So it's like there's going to be a lot of movement, but for us, none of it matters a lick if you don't beat these guys. So it's going to be a wild day of football. I'm doing, Eric, you'll get a kick out of this. I'm hosting a tailgate party in the quad by Touchdown Jesus, right by you there.
Yep.
And I'm co-hosting it with the Notre Dame Alumni Club of Orange County, California. So it's really interesting because it's all the Notre Dame people that now live and work and have businesses in the LA in California, and they want to come back and throw a big party. So it's going to be a co-hosted tailgate in the quad there by your boy. Anybody going, you'll see the flag. Come have a beer, holler at your boy. We'll have some Portillo's Italian beefs for you. Come on by.
That sounds great.
Oh,
And then
Eric,
right after that, you got to run back home, right?
that's what I was going to say. Here's the catch. This is a great promo opportunity and like a meet and greet. I want to meet all these people in LA and all they got going on. And then I'm not even going to the game. I'm hopping in the car, driving the 2 hours back so I could do the post game show. So I'll have YouTube TV on in the car, whatever, drive the 2 hours back, catch most of the second half, and then I gotta be here for the call-in show. Good or bad, I gotta be in this basement for that moment. So it's gonna be a long day for your boy, but I'm ready for it.
All right. So do you have a backup plan in case you get in traffic so that someone else can run your call-in show and you can call in and run your call-in show as a call-in?
I can call in my own call-in show.
Yeah. Does your wife know how to click the buttons? And
The idea is, I've done this before, man. You have 120,000 people in town, and not one of them's going the way you're going when they're all going in the game and you're leaving. So everybody will be parked and moving in. I'll have no traffic. I'll get on the toll road, 2 hours. I'll be home and I'll be here for the people. Eric, can we're about to wrap up. Can I throw one more thing at you? Do you have a minute?
sure. Yeah, go for it.
I think your people are going to appreciate this. Man, I got to tell you, as much as my people and me and how we feel about Ohio State and that battle and not winning since 1936, I still got my rusty Buckeyes that got sent to me after the title game. They are going to sit here in this basement until the day we beat you guys. I will eat them on camera no matter how many decades it is. They're going to sit right here till we get that win. But I'm going to tell you this, Eric. This hurts me inside. Man, I respect the hell out of the consistency of that Ohio State program. You guys lost so many good guys off that defense last year, and you're almost better than you were. The next quarterback comes in, starts to develop. Like, I hope your people appreciate that level of consistency. And I realize how hard it is to literally reload and not rebuild at all these positions year after year. It hurts me to say, but I respect the hell out of the consistency of that program. You know how you know you're real good? When you're undefeated and you're number one and all that, and you're barely even making news. Do you get what I'm saying? How that's a compliment? You got all the other drama going on everywhere else, Penn State and everywhere else. But when you could be number one and keep winning and it barely even makes the news, it's because there just isn't that much there. You take another win, you play good football, you move on. I'm jealous of the consistency year in and year out. And I just hope your people appreciate it and realize how rare it is to get to that point. That's where we want to get. Reloading, not rebuilding at these positions or whatever. Genuinely impressive work.
To speak to that a little bit, and I try to keep Ohio State off the College Huddle as much as I can because I have an entire channel dedicated just to my Buckeyes and without a green screen. So, I understand the majority of people who are going to be watching this video are going to be Notre Dame or USC people. I get that. But let me just say this in response to that, John. I am just as surprised, I think, as a lot of other people that when Matt Patricia was hired as defensive coordinator, replacing 8 NFL starters on your defense, that they are somehow better. And we heard grumblings last year that things weren't great behind the scenes. with Ryan Day and Jim Knowles. And now, hindsight being 20 and seeing how things have unfolded in Happy Valley and how things have gone in Columbus since then, I think it's evident that that was true. And Matt Patricia has been a pleasant surprise to us.
Well, think about it, Eric. You're saying that that's true, and you won the championship. Like,
Yeah.
think of the position you're in when you could be like, there's friction and things are like they're rocky or whatever, and you win the championship in that dynamic. Like, that shows the level you are operating at. And so I'm genuinely impressed. I'm jealous.
I think it also it underlines the fact that Ryan Day is really good.
Yeah.
Let me throw this out at you. This would be something I would love for you to dive into. Just thinking analytic, just thinking beyond outside the box thinking, right? Because I've been doing this, thinking about this a lot. Ryan Day almost got fired last year. He does not go on that playoff run. Let's say he gets embarrassed against Tennessee at home in the playoffs. This fan base wanted him gone. He's the all-time winningest coach. He surpassed Newt Rockne in percentage 2 weeks ago. And he almost got fired. And people are, oh my gosh, Ohio State fans are crazy. You guys don't know, like, you're spoiled. And I stop everybody and say, stop right there. Here's what I want you to think about. Is it that the fan base is spoiled, or is it that the fan base upholds the expectation and the standard? And that's what I was trying to relate to Penn State fans. Don't apologize for your anger. You're holding up the standard that James Franklin signed his name to. And if he can't reach that standard, that's not your fault as a fan. You shouldn't boo him. You shouldn't, yes, you should. You are upholding the standard.
All right. Now let me push back a little bit.
Sure, go for it.
There's a big difference there, though, because Ohio State has reason to hold that standard. Penn State has it like what is the standard? 10-2 on and then lose all the big games?
But John, the last 2 weeks, who'd they lose to?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but it's like, okay, but does 10 or 11 years of 10-2, then you have one where you don't reach that's the breaking point? I think that was a combination of, at least he doesn't lose to people you're not supposed to lose to. Once that seal was broken,
yeah,
you marry that with 4-21 against top 10, then it becomes a real problem.
Absolutely.
But Eric, you got to understand, you guys have been in the position to justifiably look at like title or bust is the standard. Like, at least your program's been at that level. That's the Notre Dame argument. It was like, where do you get off? You haven't won it since 88. You guys have these big standards, right? Like that was the big thing on Notre Dame. So I get it with Penn State. It's just, Eric, here's the danger.
Okay.
Penn State has got to be careful that
Are you gonna bring up the Nebraska argument with me?
I'm just saying, you got to be real careful when you say that guy we could pencil in 10-2 every year isn't good enough. You better be careful what you do. You might bring in a new guy and that level turns to 9-3 every year. It gets, when you're getting into the upper echelon, 10-2 is not good enough anymore. You better just be careful what you ask for and not end up in a position where that bar gets lowered. They're in an interesting spot.
Okay, so you brought up the Nebraska argument without bringing up Nebraska. Well done. Well done. Here's my pushback. This is why I actually commend Nebraska. At least they freaking keep trying.
Yeah.
At least they keep trying. The fan base hasn't given up. The fan base still shows up for them regardless. I mean,
Eric, what else do they have to show up to? A cornfield? They have no other sports. They don't have no baseball team. I got two baseball teams, the South Side and the North Side. They don't have no NFL team. They don't have no NBA team. Of course they still show up. There's nothing else to do. What else is there? You wake up, you're miserable about Nebraska, and then you do it all the next year. Like, they should have all that attention because there's no other sports.
You just really pissed off some farmer in Nebraska and his John Deere who says, wait a minute, my square dancing club.
Hey, my school's in the middle of Indiana because when they were trying to go west, a blizzard made them stop, so they picked the nearest lake. And they didn't try to go to Indiana. The blizzard made them stop there. I get what it's like. It's like country and then Notre Dame. I get it. I'm just saying the whole Nebraska discussion always is different to me because there is literally no other sports. That is it. And that changes the way you prioritize everything when that's all you got.
That's a good point. It is a good point. I don't know that I think we're dancing around the same argument there for kicks and giggles, but one can make the argument that Ohio State is in the middle of Ohio. Columbus was a cow town until 40 years ago. Was literally a cow town. It was a college town. Now it's a thriving metropolis, but you get my point. And then you're between Cincinnati, which is literally the state of Cincinnati. They don't even claim to be in Ohio, and Cleveland, which is basically the mistake on the lake, is what they were known for. And if you're a Browns fan, you still believe that. So Ohio can make the same argument. What is it really to do? Oh, we have Cedar Point, Lake Erie, the most polluted lake out of all the Great Lakes. Yay!
No, but dude, at least there's other sports teams. So that, like, if Ohio State was bad, like, there's just other things to do in that realm. There isn't in Nebraska. It changes.
Okay.
Things.
All right. I I'm just saying, like, when you make the argument of we better not fire James Franklin because we might become Nebraska, my argument is why? Nebraska's like, hey, our standard is Tom Osborne, baby, and we're going to keep swinging until we hit it. It's like the kid. It's like, do you quit after you struck out, or do you get back up and you keep swinging? You teach your kids, you go right back up there and take your swings, man.
I respect.
It's a defeatist attitude to say, oh, I guess we'll just stay here with James Franklin and be 10-2 for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, it's and listen, man, the guy got paid a lot of money, and then it all just and listen, James Franklin didn't help himself, Eric. When you get up there in the summer and you start saying this is by far the best personnel we've ever had, coaching and players, he helped build this up too. I'm telling you, Oregon just broke their spirit and they were done after that. And it's just, they couldn't recover. They were all in on it. I'm just saying, I was that way with Brian Kelly. 10-2 isn't good enough, loses all the big games. I'm ready for something new. This got stale. I did that with Brian Kelly. I'm not telling them not to do it. I'm just saying you got to be careful what you do next. Yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong to do it, but you got to be real sure about what comes next if that's the way you're going to go. What do you think happens to James Franklin, by the way? What does he do?
Michigan State.
You think so?
That's what I'm hearing.
Interesting.
I think that is very interesting. If he ends up going to East Lansing, that is a home run hire for Michigan State.
Oh, yeah. So are they done with their new guy they got from Oregon State or whatever, right?
Yeah, Smith.
Are they done with him after
it sounds like he's this might be a record-breaking year for coaching changes. And here's something else for you for your program. Something else to think about. Why all the firings in the middle of the season? I'll tell you why. This transfer portal window that just changes everything for coaching staffs. You have to have your coach and coaching staff in place if you're going to flip a roster in the month of December and January. You cannot wait to the end of the year anymore. And so it's putting athletic directors and athletic departments basically like, if we're going to think we might have to make a change, we better make it now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to have a program next year.
Yeah.
Think about firing your coach after the season and then trying to somehow put together a staff and go after kids in the portal before the window closes. And you don't have because your roster is going to change over and you don't have a team. We're having tryouts for walk-ons at Michigan State next year. That's going to happen to somebody, and it's going to set them back even further because of that stupid transfer portal window. That's why all the firings are happening right now.
Now, check this out. You want to know what would be the best troll move of all time in this whole dynamic, Eric?
Give it to me. Come on.
Oh, I've thought about this. This is great. Follow me here. James Franklin says, the hell with the Northeast. I'm taking the UCLA job and I'm keeping Jerry Neuheisel as my offensive coordinator. And I am going to rebuild UCLA and I am going to get into the LA talent recruiting market. And I'm going to UCLA, the team that started all this to get me fired. I'm going there. Full circle. It gives him a chance to rebuild a program in his image. I believe there's money at UCLA, but only if they feel that it's warranted to parse out, get in that LA recruiting market, keep that blonde-headed kid over there calling plays that got you fired. Epic troll move by James Franklin.
I haven't thought of that one. That's good.
Yeah, think about it. Dude, LA's got a lot of advantages. And if you get the right guy at UCLA, it could be a competitive program. And I do believe there's resources, but they got to believe it's worth it. And the bar's so low, you build it back up. Like, that's a pretty soft landing. Build it in your image. The bar's already low. I'm just throwing it out there as a troll move. Or you become weekend golfing buddies with Jimbo Fisher, and neither one of you lift a damn finger again, and you just golf every day. The hell with all of it. Like, you don't need any of this BS. We're just going to golf and smoke cigars every day till we die. Go do that.
It's not too bad of a plan either.
Yeah. It's you made it in life when you get rich, when people don't even want you to work anymore and they want you to go away. You made it. So good job. Jimbo is one of the biggest snake fakers in the entire world of college football. If he didn't stumble into Jameis Winston, none of this would have ever happened. Jameis Winston is the only reason that guy ended up how he did, and now he's rich. Good for him.
John, tell everybody about your show program. If they stumbled on this and they're still listening, they're probably watching and laughing at this point. But tell everybody about Always Irish, what you do, where they can find you, brother.
Yeah, we got Notre Dame coverage for you every day on YouTube, on Twitter, audio only, whatever you want. Look it up. Regular shows, 2-hour call-in shows, post-game call-in shows. Then we have the Always Irish Patreon with a couple former Notre Dame players. We break down all the all-22, all your rumors, everything you want behind the paywall there. Patreon.com/alwaysirish. Just Google it, and you'll find everything you need, and you can go find me anywhere. I got something for you every day. If I don't have some content, I'm probably dead.
And he worked in the funeral the world before this, so he would know. So, John Kennedy, everybody, make sure you subscribe to the channel here at College Huddle. We would appreciate that. Like the video as well. And, of course, let us know what you think about what we think down in the comments section below. Enjoy the games this weekend, everybody.
Take care.